producers know about and confide in each other in and keep kids and pass them around and fuck them? Oh, really, dude? This is how you know life rips.
Hey, no dance, bitch, you know the deal. Hey, tap my name on your wrist so I know it's real. Bitches over 20, that's just no bill. Beat the box on like I'm Holyfield. I feel like a predator, a predator, a predator. Fuck the money and the fame, I'm a predator, a predator, a predator. What's my motherfucking name? I ain't playing with you bitches. I got a family, I ain't staying with you bitches. Fuck that, ain't no code, but I've been praying on you bitches. Pull up with daddy's milk and spread on you bitches. And my wife don't know the difference. What's your Snapchat? And what's your OnlyFans? Oh, you only 16, what's your Instagram? Baby, where your bottle at? I hope you like to drink. I'm mostly sober, but I brought you this Moscato Pink. You don't even gotta think, I can do it for you. Move you in the house with 30 bitches and record you. If I get caught, I'll apologize on video and lie to my audience and wife as I live my double life as a predator. Predator, predator. I ain't never gonna stop. I'm a predator, a predator, predator. To the day I drop, all I do is pray, pray, pray. 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 I woke up feeling like a hustling. All these hoes I'm hustling. Give it that Rover tussing, no discussion, then I'm busting it. If she ain't lose consciousness, I ain't even bothering. In your hood with a sweater on, and this your bitch I'm rogering. I'm in a drop top like Adolf, and I'm about to hit the gas. I'm off a prelude and a prelude, and it's going very fast. Say you saw me in commercials, and I always made you laugh. But this jello ain't the only thing I'm putting in your ass. I'm a beast, I'm a dog, I'm a problem. Heathcliff Hucks, I'm your motherfucking father. I take a bitch and put the bitch to sleep. Yeah, you're telling you won't hear repeat. I'm in television every week. Who would ever guess that I'm a freak? No one. You're getting very sleepy. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I'm just taking out my pee-pee. Such a funny guy that I'll make everyone believe me. BC, bitch, it's easy. I'm a fucking predator. A predator. A predator. Dropping comments on your page. I'm a predator. A predator. A predator. When I'm off the stage, all I do is rain, rain, rain. All I do is rain, rain, rain. All I do is rain, rain, rain. All I do is rain, rain, rain.
We just have to just get inside of the young body and just...
Good morning, gearheads. Welcome to the Blind Mike Project. Go to blindmike.net for all things Blind Mike. Today, Blind Mike covers the meanderings of one Chris D'Elia. Two fat guys go belly to belly with Bert versus Amico. We got some Stuttering John doing some Stuttering John things, and Mike is back in the lawsuit, baby. Also, did you see goal? That's right, some steel toe as well. The only thing that would make this show better would be some Army Major. What? Army Major 2? What a show this is gonna be, and now here is your host, the king of commentary, the man with the funny voice, the best podcaster who talks to us.
Blind Mike Geary!
That's right. Coming in at number one is Predator by Crack Amico. I think DJ Electro was a little confused.
Oh, was that your radio voice?
It was, yeah. How'd you like it?
Oh, it was interesting. No Casey Kasem, I guess.
Well, I tried, David. I'm sorry. But DJ Electro, I think, thought it was Zach Amico rapping that song. It is not. It's but we will get to Bert and Crack Amico and Chris D'Elia and all those fine people.
There was a point that I thought it was Hack Ride.
It would take musical ability like that for that kind of a song, but no, it was the great Crack Amico. David Collins, of course, with us, trying to help me shoulder the load here because Craig is just pitiful this morning. This is a disgusting display. Hey, guys.
Is he not feeling well? I didn't get a good look at him.
Exactly. I don't want anyone to see me.
My tummy doesn't feel so good today.
No, dude, I have taken a world record amount of bathroom trips.
Listen to this. It's
24 hours.
pitiful. Why not just tap Casey Day in? Why put us through this?
Well, I initially was going to have babysitter problems. And then when this happened, I was like, he's going to think I'm just trying to get out of the show.
Babysitter problems. It's when he finds out they're 18.
Can Craig be heard? I understand I could hear him, but it's whatever the case is.
I hope people can hear him. Can people hear you, Craig?
I assume so.
Yeah, unfortunate for all of you. All right, well, we're off to a hot start today, but Craig has hidden himself, but David is here with us. David, last we spoke to you, or since we've spoken to you, it seemed you had slight beef with me and Craig. Are you over that? Do you still have hard feelings towards us? What's the deal?
Well, that seems like an insane way to put things. I thought I handled myself very well, and I could have been much more hurt by the whole incident. I mean, I could describe to your audience what it feels like to unbox presents when you get back home. It's very sad.
That was a sad picture. Had I realized you had brought gifts for me, I would have tried to figure something out, at least give you an address that you could drop them off or something. But I didn't want you to come out of your way. You said I could come earlier this for a handshake. I wasn't going to make you come to my house to shake my hand and leave.
Well, that wouldn't have been a make, I think. I think that's what I was saying. Can we settle? Can we find a compromise?
Well, I'm sorry, David, but if you're ever back here, we will. And I have to defend Craig because I heard your show where you said that you kind of alluded to the fact that Craig may have been playing some mind games with you or something. He lives in New Hampshire, so he would have had to come to Boston.
I see.
For you, yeah.
Oh, well, that's a bit of an exclusive. If you look at David Collins' 30-minute half-hour Patreon, you might know where that reference is from.
And where can people find that if they were looking for David Collins' Patreon?
Oh, well, they would go to Patreon and they'd search David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show. Or you can just go to our YouTube page and there's an easy link directly to it. Okay. It's pretty unavoidable.
Is it patreon.com/David Collins 30-minute half-hour show? Right.
But who does that? I think a lot of people use the search bar.
I'll tell you who does it. People that go to patreon.com/blind Mike.
Interesting.
It's very smart to do, actually.
I'll have to take note of that.
So yeah, support David. He's got all kinds of stuff up there. He's doing his reality show.
We have about 100 videos on that Patreon.
Oh my God, he's killing people with content. So go support David. All right. This will be fun today.
It's going well in Boston. Boy, what a great trip.
And so tell me, how was Boston overall?
Well, it was nice. Rochester was great. How pleasant was Carl? And then we drove down to Boston there and just enjoyed some touristy things. And we saw the fireworks and just had a nice, pleasant vacation.
Delicious seems like a real character. You had fun with him.
Yeah, he's a great hang. There's not much that you could say. He's currently production manager at this Jester's Lounge in locally here in Dubuque, and you could say that causes plenty of local drama, but it was a fine trip, and we didn't get on each other's nerves at all. Well, I would like to think that he didn't get on my nerves, at least. I'm not sure what he thinks.
Now, did you find this odd? I heard from an anonymous source, I won't name them, but they told me that in your travels, they mentioned the name Mark Normand to Delicious. And as a club owner, this person found it a bit odd that Delicious had no idea who that was.
Right. Well, he's learning.
Isn't that unusual as a guy that owns a comedy club?
Well, he doesn't own a comedy club. He's a production manager.
Yeah. You don't find that unusual?
We're working out the kinks as a community, I think. It is a little tricky, but I appreciate that input because sometimes it's a little tough to, describe to people how other people see him.
Right.
And I think it's good to get those examples and say, maybe this is kind of how you're being portrayed. So maybe you could, figure out a way to change that first impression.
And in other David Collins drama, you came in a little hot this morning.
Well, I'm a little frustrated. We're just a day off of, it must have only been, was it last night? I'm a little lost in my days, but I did participate in a comedy competition and I had a great set. Unfortunately, out of the 13 people performing, there were 6 finalists, and I somehow was not one of them. 3 of them I very strongly disagreed with. Really? And, you have to wonder. And somebody told me, hey, they needed to put a woman in the finals. I say, well, that can't be right. I'd like to think maybe the judges were a little too horny or something, but not that they felt that they needed to put one in, but that it was, an impulse.
Well, the political correctness is overtaken us, David. You know, that's kind of the world we live in. People think it's died down, this cancel culture stuff, but we do still live in a world where you need to make certain diversity exceptions. You know,
You have to wonder, but you don't want to be thinking that way. But we certainly hope for the best. But regardless, that just means that my Friday next week is freed up.
will this be part of the reality show? Will we get to see this controversy?
I think it's a little less so. I thought it was going to be great for the show if I was going to be moving on in the competition. Now it's just another L on my record.
Wow. Hey, a lot of the greats. You know, Michael Jordan didn't make his varsity basketball team or whatever the hell that story.
A lot of L's this July, I'd say.
I hope we're not on that list, David. I hope you're not referring to us.
Well, not today, I'd say. Well, I appreciate being on. I'm happy to be here. And it's good that it's been a couple of weeks now. It would have if it was the week after, it would have felt like you were trying to do me a favor or something. And I'm happy to just be on here like everything's normal.
Of course, you're part of the family, David. You're welcome on any time. And this, of course, if you're here because you think I might have some inside gossip on the Coleman situation, you are very wrong, Minifans, because I texted Justin yesterday and said, "Hey, like what happened with Coleman? He's leaving the show. What's the hot goss, baby?" And he replied, "Can't talk. I'm at a Much Stack event." That's the level of importance that I rank in his life. And I never heard. I don't understand. A text message is meant to respond at your leisure. He could have responded anytime. He was rude to me, and then I don't know. Coleman's in on Monday, I guess. So I'll find out with you guys tomorrow. But that's all I know. No inside deets, unfortunately.
I'm stunned by that move.
I'm not stunned, but I was talking to someone about it yesterday. I was surprised, not stunned.
Oh yeah, that's actually probably way
like
better.
If anyone, I think I said this on the show that Gus, Mick, Montana, any of those guys that were in that competition, if there was one guy that would have quit like that, it would probably be Coleman because he didn't start as a fan of the show, you know?
Yeah, so you didn't understand, I guess.
I
I was pretty surprised though. It was right off the suspension.
Yeah, it was odd that he waited right till the end, but my thought is, and again, we'll find out tomorrow, but my thought was he just heard the show. Maybe it was Friday's show specifically, but I think he just heard the show throughout the 2 weeks and I guess decided that it wasn't the best thing for him, but we'll find out tomorrow. Maybe he'll come in guns blazing.
There's no coming back from abandoning Ted at a bar.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He's resigning in disgrace. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot the real black eye that he suffered.
That's a true bad look.
Yeah. But yeah, to put it simply, I know as much as you guys. I'm an outsider. I'm tapping on the glass, asking for Justin's information, and he won't give it to me. So I have no idea. But yeah, that'll be discussed tomorrow on the Kirk Minahan show, of course. And discussed on today's show, you could kind of consider this a vacation show. Now, I probably should have recorded it on Wednesday now that I'm seeing the condition that Craig is in. Like I said, I'm glad we have David here to assist me because a lot of these topics, particularly at the end with Stuttering John and Aaron from Steel Toe, people have talked about before, but I need to get into them. I'm just so fascinated by them.
Okay.
So if you guys are good and eat your vegetables through the first few topics, we'll get to John and Aaron. But I want to start with Chris D'Elia because this is an episode that happens, I would say maybe seasonally, maybe even a little more rare. Our favorite is always the Christmas episode, but a couple times a year, Kristen D'Elia will come on Chris D'Elia's program. And that's always very exciting for us. So we're going to get to that first. But let me tell you about blindmike.net, if you'd be so kind. Support us wherever you get podcasts, wherever you're listening right now. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Help pay for Craig's medical bills. The man is obviously dying. He's in terrible condition. So help save this man at blindmike.net. You know, guys, help us hit the goal today. And if we hit the goal, Craig will live. How's that sound?
That's right.
Or die. You know what? In the super chats, let us know if you want Craig to live or die, and we will seal his fate.
One for live.
One for live, two for die.
Come on, guys. I'm going through a lot here.
Put him out of his misery. But blindmike.net, we are, I keep saying this, We're almost at 1,000 on Patreon. If you want to subscribe, we're single digits away. So come on, guys. Let's start a rally. Super chats, Venmo, Streamlabs, blindmike.net. Subscribe on Patreon or become a YouTube member. I've noticed a few more people becoming members on YouTube as well. So if that platform is easier for you, then either one, Patreon, YouTube, blindmike.net is where you get all those links. Like I said, go follow David on his Patreon and on his YouTube at David Collins Show to find David Collins 30-minute half-hour show on YouTube. Go subscribe to that. Very good show. If you want to support Craig's kids when he dies tomorrow. And hackridethedemon.com is where you can find Hackride and all of his friends there. All right, let's get into Chris D'Elia, shall we?
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Chris D'Elia, if you guys don't know, we haven't talked about Chris in a little bit, but every once in a while, the best version of his podcast is when he has his wife on. And I think his wife might actually be helping him because there are signs in this podcast that he's a little better. He's not as now he's horribly rude to her, but he's not quite as bad as we've seen him in other episodes. So I think breakthroughs are being made. And Kristen is a budding young therapist, I guess. I think she wants to get into therapy, or the field of therapy. And it seems like she's having some breakthroughs. So let's check in on Chris and Kristen D'Elia.
At first, we got emails.
Okay. I think we're starting out with just Chris.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a big entrance.
Good.
It's all up in my
comes through the painting.
Somebody hit me with emailed me, hey, your car lease is going to be up, and I'm like, this is spam. And a day later, I thought about that email and I was like, wait a minute. And I looked closely at it, and it's not spam. It's just the person that I got the car from. And I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, I have to give that car back.
I always say this about Chris D'Elia. It's I don't even blame him. It's the fault of people that are podcasting alone. Like I hear our boy Stuttering John brag about the fact that he does his podcast alone. He doesn't need guests or co-hosts or anything. It's a really bad thing because it makes you think anything is interesting. You're not getting reaction from the people around you. Like if I go on a rant, David can give me a wise ass comment to realize, okay, maybe this wasn't as interesting as I thought. But Chris just talks about his emails and he's like, hey, I got an email from a guy, thought it was spam. Turns out it wasn't. And he goes on this rant for 5 minutes. Who could possibly give a fuck about this?
Well, he only caught it the next day, though. Why is he losing his car?
That's a good point. That's a great question, David. Why are they repoing his car if he's a day late seeing the email?
I just was like, what business do I have thinking that stuff's spam when it's not spam, dude? See, that's the thing that happens. Once in like 2022, somebody got my email and it went immediately to like so many different somewhere in like
somebody got his email.
Russia.
I'm sure it wasn't a victimized young woman seeking revenge.
Well, it's a great prank to give out somebody else's email to a bunch of companies that's going to send them spam.
And he just hasn't changed it. Like, Chris, the emails are free. Just make a new one.
Or Poland or something. And then every morning I wake up, I have about at least nine Polish or Russian emails.
Oh, I see. He's just signing up for pornography sites, and this is what he told his wife.
It's spam, baby. It's spam. That's why I'm not making our car payments.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've never given your email out to somebody and had this problem yourself.
Baby, the car is getting repossessed because Poland is emailing me. They're emailing me porn links. What can I do?
You know, there's not English. Not even the letters that English uses. I get those emails now. And so every time I wake up, I basically just, if you email me in the middle of the night, I'm never getting it because I wake up and I just clear them all. So if you're going to email me at 3 p.m.
Lawyers, are you listening?
So this is why he needs his wife to come in, because he goes on these inane rants about nothing. And that's what the entirety of his show is. Eventually he gets into like news topics and stuff, but he's like, and again, I heard Stuttering John say this, where it's like, I talk about my day and I talk about what I ate for breakfast. I talk about going through my emails. That's not interesting. You could argue it was interesting when Howard Stern started doing that kind of stuff because no one had really done that before. DJs felt almost like robots. There was a system to what they were doing, and guys like Howard Stern kind of broke that mold. So it was interesting to hear them talk about their day. But what they're missing is Howard Stern had a likability and a charisma to him that made us interested in what he was doing. And he could make the mundane interesting. Just saying, I delete my emails in the morning is not an interesting topic, Chris, on its own.
It would be interesting if he said, I don't delete them.
It would be. There'd be mountains of evidence in there if he doesn't delete any of them.
Actually, I'm talking about a special guest.
Good. Hey, great job, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
My Billy's just starting to walk. Whatever. I got my. Well, not whatever. I got my. I said, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll bring him in later. My wife's going to be on the podcast today. That's why we have this. And she is not ready because she needed to. This is what she said to me. Go in and start. And I just need to get a hair clip. Okay. It's been 4.5 minutes. So, unless you had to 3D print the hair clip.
Yeah, but Chris, we all have our faults, Sometimes women do things like that where they say, hey, just a minute, and they take, 10, maybe even 20 minutes. And that's a little crazy. You also said, when I'm on the road, I don't cheat on you with young women. What are you talking about? We all have our bugaboos, Chris. We all have our hang-ups that maybe we stretch the truth on. Yours are a little different than Kristen's.
He still wasn't proven guilty on anything.
I understand.
Oh, he's innocent. I understand.
Yeah. No, he's innocent. Innocent man.
But we all know that.
Watching the clock that closely? 4.5 minutes?
Yes,
we're coming up on 5 minutes. That makes a little more sense.
He does this show alone, David. He can choose to start whenever he wants, but he decided to start so he could berate his wife over taking a little long. Well, by the way, what ultimately she's doing, we find out, is taking care of their 2 children.
Uh-oh.
What time is. So
next he's got material.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's got to kill time while this goddamn cunt is looking for a hair clip. So let's see what material he's been working on lately.
Like just carrying around that, and it's too heavy, so he's like dragging it around. Dude, kids, they're so funny, man. And I know sometimes on this podcast I talk too much about my kids, but I don't. It's like I don't care, dude. I don't have to write material anymore. You understand? All I have to do is talk about the day. When I do stand up, I talk about what happened that day with my kids. And it's
here we go.
That sounds so horrible.
It does.
It sounds like his stage act is becoming his podcast, where he's just going to get on stage and think he can riff. Chris, you got canceled, right or wrong. If people think he didn't do anything, that's fine. I think some of those things sound pretty credible, and his response to it made me believe it even more. But whatever you think of Chris D'Elia, he's clearly not great at just riffing off the top of his head. And if your career goes through something like his did, you should be doing more work, not less. You should not be saying, well, I could just do nothing now and be like, my kid playing with his fucking Legos. It's crazy. Huh, guys? What do you think? You're all kids. You play with Legos?
I was hoping he was going to get into it. He kept saying, oh, it's going to be so funny, everybody. At least give me a tease.
No, he warns us, David, but I don't think we were ready to handle it. That's how good it is you have to show up to his show for him to be like, Tuesdays are crazy, right?
But the rage is building in him right now.
Oh, yeah. So the wife still isn't there. And now we're up to 6, maybe 7 minutes.
It's best if she enters on a big laugh.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Like Kramer.
Are you coming in?
I am.
All right, cool. She's coming in. That's cool. It's cool. Did you get a hair clip?
No.
You didn't get one?
I had to braid it.
You had to braid it. Okay, that's why it took a long time. So we get it.
Is there one of those things that like you have 10 of, but you can never find one when you need it?
Right. Like
girlies now.
That's already more interesting material than anything he said.
She's brought a ray of sunshine to this podcast.
She's got a joke with a premise.
She's like, hey, Chris, I was working on this upstairs. He's like, we don't do that here.
Like what for guy? What is that for guys? Talking to my bring that out here.
Oh, sorry, you gotta get Chen's or Hellcrab.
Okay. Well, he can do it. All right. Okay, this is really great. It's going on really great.
This is the worst part of the show, Chris.
I know, but
You invited her.
but I want you to sit in because
Is this a live show?
Off.
No, it's
No,
not.
he has the power to edit this out, but he think like here's the thing: is Chris thinks it's cute, and maybe his audience likes it. Chris thinks it's cute when he berates the way he's like Jackie Gleason
To the moon.
That's exactly right, David. Yeah.
Because
I
you
am
look
a
great.
pro. Don't you worry.
You look great.
Oh, poor Chris.
Everybody except Chris is looking at her.
what he suffers through. That's the thing is like you can tell he's so sick of her. And what's weird is like you could easily watch this podcast and be like, Mike, you're being a little hot. Like he's clearly joking. But the weird thing is now because of the Chris D'Elia problem documentary and many other reports, we know how sick of his wife this guy is. Because every Snapchat message he sent to these girls, he could have just, flirted with them, had a relationship with them separately. But like every message that got exposed of his was like, oh, is this bitch a nag? Oh, God, I just can't stand her. So his cutesy, like, oh, why I oughta, you got a hair clip when you're supposed to be on my show? It's not that cute when we know the ugliness behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't think he was joking at all either.
Right, and there, like I said, there's stuff where if you just watch this podcast, you could easily think I'm twisting things, but it seems like we know a little more about Chris D'Elia than he likes to acknowledge we know.
If I were her, I would have left him more for the way he feels about her more than his actions.
The way he openly talks about her. Yeah. It's a very Go ahead, David.
Well, we criticize people like Cosby and others for having, being so two-faced. It's nice to have somebody who's just the way that he is.
It's a decent point, but he's not fully that because his apology was like, guys, you got me. I cheated on my wife. And we were like, what about all the underage stuff? And he's like, yep, exactly. I cheated on my wife. You said it, pal. No. We're asking about much more serious allegations. He's like, no, totally. I was a philanderer.
I broke my vows.
Chris, the breaking of the vows wasn't the issue, buddy.
Here we have brain stuff.
This is another one of Chris's wacky idea. It's so cute when he talks about therapy this way. This is a man who claims therapy has changed him. He was once the Tiger Woods / Jerry Sandusky of comedy. But now he has changed. He's a changed man thanks to therapy. And I've been to therapy. I've heard many people talk about therapy and how it's helped their lives. I find it odd that a man who's went through a transformation the way Chris D'Elia has talks about therapy in this manner.
You want to be you brains are weird, right? You're a therapist. You're going to be a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
You don't want to start me off immediately with some brain talk. Let's talk.
No,
about
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
let's
because you know what I'll bring up. This is my favorite part of your new to. Have you ever been on when we've talked about Kristen D'Elia, David?
No, I don't believe so. Chris D'Elia by himself.
Of course, yeah. But Kristen, when she is on, always calls him out for cheating. Like the game plan on her is basically like, oh, she's like ignorant. She doesn't know what's going on. But every time she's on this podcast, she calls him out for his bullshit every time. And you see him like clam up and get nervous and be like, no, we don't have to bring that up. And
well, she sounds hesitant to do so. She said, are you sure? Really? He can't help but walk himself into it.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but I love it.
My feeling is there is no prenup involved, and she is stringing him along because she could bury this guy if she wanted to.
Well, let's find out.
The brain stuff will come naturally because it's me. So,
right, you'll start talking about your feelings and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
and I'll make you talk about yours.
Okay, that's good. Sounds good. And we're back. Sorry, I had to take care of some family business. So,
he brought it aside and said, "Please, for the love of God, don't." Why would you cut it like that? Why would that be the timing, Chris?
And you didn't want to cut anything before that.
Oh yeah, right. We watched you berate this woman for the hair clip stuff and set up her microphone and everything. Yet when she says, "Hey, Chris, what if I talked about my feelings and made you talk about yours?" There's an abrupt pause. I wonder what you might have taken her aside to discuss. That's interesting timing.
Oh, the kids are complaining right now. We better stop. I don't remember what we were talking about either. Next we got All Bizarre.
Chris just runs a bizarre. The conversation is weird. His approach to it, it's all very weird.
His face is weird, if you ask me. I don't know how you get it to look like you're always wearing one of those historic clay masks.
Well, he was considered a very handsome young man, but
the situation has haggard him.
It's aged him greatly. Yeah.
Just come up on the microphone.
Me?
Yeah, talk in the microphone.
Like, turn it so if you're going to look at him.
Like
Again, to your point, David, why wouldn't this be cut out?
They just came back.
They just came back. Yeah, and they have a producer there, and none of this is chopped out. Yet when she says, "Hey, let's talk about our feelings," there's an abrupt pause.
One of those producers need to start leaking the footage.
Any luck?
Maybe someday.
Like that.
Ow.
I'm so sorry.
Are you evil?
I did not mean to do that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You can keep in that
You
he's
have
evil.
no
People
idea.
need to know.
But the directional needs to go. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Blah, 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 blah,
How's your finger?
blah, 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 blah.
Babe, how's your finger?
It's fine.
You don't want to give guys ammunition to pop boners off by doing that.
Guys are going to do that no matter what.
Guys gonna be guys, huh?
She's like, boy, don't I know it?
I thought he was saying ammunition for the next documentary.
Dave, that's what all those fucking preteens did after the show. They went blah 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 blah, and they just had me.
What Chris is really saying is like, you're too old for me to find that sexy now. So
Here's the thing:
Yeah.
some guy is sexually attracted to it.
True.
Butterflies in a forest.
Well, now
Bet a
you're
guy
getting
jacked
me
off
on.
to it one time.
Okay, well, the butterfly.
That's something I'd like to talk
now I
about.
gotta walk home. Well, what about how? What about how? Hold on, before we can talk about. Remember that, but we can talk.
he is,
about
you know, he's like a guy in high. He was a popular kid in high school, where I think the masses would think like, why does everyone find this guy funny? But he was like in with the popular crowd. For some reason, they liked him. But his jokes, there's just nothing there. It's like there's nothing of substance. He just does what he thinks would make young girls laugh.
That was so uncomfortable. I thought, what is he remembering himself doing? There's no way he hasn't publicly relieved himself at some point in his life, right?
I would imagine you're right. Yeah.
You think mistakes just happen like weather?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
I don't think.
fuck my mouth.
What?
Wow.
Disagree.
Ooh, edgy, Chris. That came out of nowhere.
Hard. Disagree.
Mhm.
Dude, mistakes, she'll be like,
Oh, tread lightly.
Well, listen to what's happening. This is a man essentially admitting to his monstrous crimes.
hey. It's
This is like when Craig tells me to like, come to the park with him. I'm like, Craig, you don't want me there. You don't want witnesses to this. But I think he's telling all of us, like, please catch me. I can't stop myself. I need you to stop me. And that's what Chris D'Elia is doing here.
That's right.
Right. Well, it's a mistake. It's not an accident. It's, I had one take and you had another and one of them was wrong.
That's right. That's right, David.
he made a mistake. That's where you're just like, nah.
But you think
like mistakes are a thing in the ether that just happened.
I don't think that. I think
Okay.
that
Okay.
we all
Well,
have
we're here. So
I think that we all
let's
have
hash it out.
brains. Some are really good at some things and some are not so good at others. And I think
Right.
that generally if we're good people trying to self-reflect and better ourselves
Mhm.
are trying to better those parts of our brain that are not doing so hot.
She's like begging. She wants Chris to be a better man so badly. And he's literally arguing with her. She's like, hey, listen, I think people, things happen and mistakes can be forgiven. And Chris is like, they just let me go. Let me leave this goddamn family so I can go back to doing what I did best.
This is a mistake versus fault.
Yeah, so he is on such a he's committed to the idea that like mistakes don't happen. Now, this is a man who seemingly has atoned for his mistakes. And yet he's arguing he's anti-mistake.
If I make a mistake, I don't think that blaming and yelling and getting upset is the way to.
And then when I make a mistake, you don't even really care a lot. Like, or you care if it's you don't care if it's like, whoops, I spilled this.
You care if it's a felony. You care if they could make a documentary about it. But short of that,
she hit a nerve very quickly. It really turned.
I like how he's like, his example was, whoops, I spilled this. And she was like, it depends on what you spill, idiot.
I spilled the milk into a 16-year-old.
Intentional. Like if I ask you to do the dishes and you say, yeah. And then
that's not a mistake though. To me, that's just fault, period.
Okay, sure.
I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it.
Right.
Kristen's like, okay, then it's your fault. Why our kids will look up horrible things about their father someday. It wasn't a mistake. You're right. I'm sorry. It's your fault.
It's terrible, and those text messages were spilled to the media.
Yes. They spilled all over Snapchat and Twitter DMs.
This is correcting behavior.
Yeah, he's done that very well, it seems.
And
you know what? Like, I wonder, like, is it possible? Because after he apologized, the Chris D'Elia Problem documentary is a documentary by Kyle Anderson. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's very interesting. All about Chris D'Elia. And a lot of it is about his time after the break, the cancellation, his apology, all of that. And what we found out in that documentary is that he was still Snapchatting young girls and having a relationship with them, and he would post on social media, loving life with my family, and post pictures and videos of his kids and his wife. And simultaneously, he's like, while he was in the car with his wife, he would be Snapchatting girls and stuff like that. So in that time, he had not learned his lesson. But I do wonder, like, is it possible for that guy to now have changed after the second round of people thinking he's a scumbag? Because he claims he has.
This is a guy that needs a flip phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I just hear, oh, God. And I was like, it's okay. I'll go get a
but it was so
towel.
dumb.
But okay.
I'm mad at it. I'm still mad at me for doing it.
I actually think I have the solution.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You should know this because you're an addict.
Okay.
Is the way to...
And you know what you're addicted to, right, Chris? He always clams up when she's like, you're an addict. And he's like, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
They never could have just gotten sponsored by AutoBlow.
People into oblivion.
Oh, dude.
For instance.
What just ends there?
And now it's on. Sorry, that was the end of the clip. Now it's on nervous.
He seems nervous and uncomfortable the whole time. If you're uncomfortable listening to Craig right now, imagine how Chris D'Elia feels in this moment.
I'm gonna tell them something.
Right.
So before couples therapy,
I probably don't want this.
That's fine. You can cut it, right?
No, it's fine.
Before couples therapy, Chris gets really
I don't want to edit anything, as you can tell by most of this podcast.
A funny thing that I've noticed is every time that we're about to go to couples therapy, he's like, why am I so anxious this week? It must be because I'm like going to the, he says that every single time. And I'm like,
I just realized that today, actually.
Because we have couples therapy in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
But he sat down and he was like cracking his knuckles and like breathing deeply. And so I just put on.
I find that so interesting that every week, like I go to therapy and I'm never like nervous. But when he's in couples therapy, he's shaking, he's cracking his knuckles. It ruins his entire day. I wonder why. Does that seem like a man that might be hiding something? It's very strange.
What does she put on? The Wiggles? I was really waiting for the end of that sentence. What calms his anxiety what is she putting on?
Wheels on the bus.
We'll never know.
This is them talking about the therapist.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't, it's good. He's good. So anyway, that's what happened today, and it's fine, and we're good. But, you think mistakes just happen like the fucking wind, and they don't. There's somebody's at the root cause of that, and we got to figure it out.
Evil.
We figured it out, Chris. Mission accomplished.
Couples therapy, that was pretty much the opposite of the conclusion.
The guy's always going to lose, no matter what.
When is the couples therapist going to tell us that I was cursed by a witch?
That's David. That's literally what he's saying. Where he's like, oh, it's the therapist is going to agree with you because you have tits and you're hot. I don't think that's most of what therapy is, Chris. Guys go to therapy and they get help from it. It's not.
Or are they going to
it's not-
therapy?
it's not
A live chat?
He's a guy. He wasn't the one giving you the advice.
And he gets it, dude. He goes like this. Well, which was one with the lumpy chest? You win. And that's what I know, dude. But he's like, I got this big dick and balls. We can't win. So
let's.
He does. He looks at life like a child. Like he is very, in a weird way. A lot of it, what he's accused of, makes sense because he is very childlike. Like he doesn't have adult conversations on this show. It's all he makes funny noises. He does baby talk. He makes funny noises, silly voices. He changes his inflection. He talks about things very ignorantly. Like, oh, oopsies, did I just say that? I don't even know what I'm saying about news topics. I'm just a crazy little boy. That is Chris D'Elia's identity. So in a weird way, like, everything he's accused of does make perfect sense. And he's found the one woman who says, Chris, this isn't your fault. And he's having an argument with her. He's like, no, you're wrong. It is my fault. Like he wants out of this so bad. It's weird to watch. It's fascinating.
Next we got, it's just next topic.
Yeah, just moving right along. They move seamlessly from topic to topic.
what did you come prepared, or did you want to say that?
Yeah, I want to talk about the sex industry.
Dude,
he doesn't like that.
Everyone turn this off. This is a private conversation with me.
This is what I've been thinking really deeply about.
Now, why? First of all, him saying, like, did you come prepared? He's making his wife come on his podcast because he knows him talking to himself is mind-numbing. So he makes her come on, and then he's like, did you bring any fucking topics, you whore? You bitch? You stupid idiot?
She says, yeah, I have a full report. I'm very prepared.
She's incredibly prepared, and immediately he's like, oh, God damn it. But this is why we love Kristen D'Elia on this show, because it has to be intentional that every time she goes on there, she ruins Chris's day.
So we have this giant sex industry,
Check,
right?
please.
And obviously women are a part of it in the sense that men are paying women to get sexual favors.
Check, please.
Men are paying men to get sexual favors.
Check, please.
No, they can't get further away because they would be out of frame. So now they're getting further away, one towards the camera and one away from the camera.
David, you're a guest on that. I consider you family. I consider you part of the show, but you're a guest on the show for all intents and purposes. Can you imagine if right now I said, all right, David, what topics did you bring? And you know what? Let's riff on this. I'm going to say, David, what topics did you bring?
The 1976 Super
Check,
Bowl.
please.
I would be saying the same
please.
thing. It's a very boring subject, if you ask me. I don't even know who won.
It's funny to drag someone onto your podcast, make them talk about something, and then be like, fuck you. Fuck you for bringing this up after I made you talk about something. But Chris, you're a guy, you said for many years, your YouTube channel was called Super Cult until you had to change it. For what reason, I can't really remember. But you called it Super Cult. You were really into having a sex cult. You talked a lot about that. Your wife brings up sex trafficking. Seems like a pretty logical topic for you to talk about. What's making you so uncomfortable? That's interesting. How about examining that and actually having an interesting podcast for once?
Well, he hates this, Mike.
I find that hard to believe.
He's in running things. Who's even asking for the check?
Good point. There's no waiter there.
Like going on Skid Row like night after night because they can't stop, and like getting guys to like sleep with them. They just don't. But isn't that crazy that there's this huge?
That was a good dinner, huh? Yeah. That was good.
Imagine inviting someone on your podcast just to do that.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Okay. See. Okay, honey.
Babe.
I think it's a lot like Michael Winslow's podcast.
Yeah.
Well, he's tremendous with the noises. I did think someone was getting in their car, to be fair, but
So close the window, please.
let's have some breakfast. That's how far gone this conversation is.
You know what we could do instead?
Oh, check, please.
Let's have a fist fight.
Oh, well, me and you?
Yeah.
She's speaking for the listeners. Where she's just like, I just want to punch you in the fucking face.
So women don't really participate in it, but
But it's just this crazy, like, undercover. It's like the drug industry. Obviously, like, both genders freely use, like, cocaine and all the other stuff.
Girls do coke off a guy's dick sometimes. Not me. Didn't happen to me. I never did it.
Right.
Oh, no, of course not.
It has happened.
Yep.
She's kind of talking like someone that knows something.
And women just straight up don't participate.
Yeah, no, I know.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Yes, it is absolutely.
She's saying women don't do cocaine. I might turn on her.
Oh no, she's
No,
striking a difference between drug use and prostitution.
She's saying like the drug industry is huge, but it's everyone. She's saying what's interesting is how big the sex industry is, and women don't pay for sex, and just how massive that is. Now, what's interesting is they actually could. She has brought up a topic that Chris could participate in and kind of feel free in the way, because the way she's approaching it is, isn't it interesting that men have this in them to cheat and pay for sex and all this kind of stuff? Isn't it interesting that men have that desire and women do, but not nearly at the percentages or the aggression that men do? And she's presenting that like, hey, Chris, let's talk about this. And I'm totally open to talking about it. And he's trampling over her. He's making noises. He's behaving the way a little kid would. It's so uncomfortable. You would think that she bullied her way on the show when he made her come in, berated her for being late, and insulted her for not having topics. It's so
he insisted on not starting the show but letting it roll until she arrived.
It would be like if David texted me and was like, hey, I'm going to be about 10:15 today. And I was like, okay, well, we're still starting at 10. You can join us when you get here. And then for the first 15 minutes, I sat here and looked at my figurative watch and just went, fucking David, this guy, like I've had it up to here with him. Is he here yet, Craig? It's been 6 minutes. He's not. All right. I guess we'll just wait for David. It's like, just do something else, Chris, if your guest is late.
To be more authentic, you'd have to say, like, it's been 6 minutes and 23 seconds.
I'm counting every second.
Absolutely crazy, and it is wild. And
but like, okay, so you have this thing. Mm-hmm. What does that say to you about the differences in genders?
Women will never understand.
This was the day of and after couples therapy, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Women will never understand. She's literally opening her ears to you, Chris. She's saying, I want to understand you better. And you're like, fuck you. I give him credit. Like, we did see him cut something. He does cut something out, apparently. But, like, he has her on. He does this. I think he knows this is the reception it gets. So I do give him credit for that. And I don't know their relationship. I don't know these people behind closed doors, obviously. Maybe we're rubes for buying into this or dissecting it so much. But to me, it is fascinating to watch a couple that's been through what they've been through, has out what they have out on air, and Chris never once grows or changes through the process.
This is quite a shot, though. She sits tall with legs spread, and he curls up into a ball. It's striking.
You think that speaks volumes about their dynamic?
You could tell who wears the proverbial pants.
Yeah. It's weird because she has let him do all these things for all it. If he's guilty of a lot of the stuff that he's accused of. What's interesting is we always get comments on Chris D'Elia videos like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. He hasn't been accused of anything. He hasn't been criminally charged of anything. Which is all true. But a lot of the accusations, the reason I'm fixated on them is that he has literally never addressed a single one.
I see. I was under the impression that he had an R. Kelly style apartment building filled with people.
It's very possible. It was more like stuff on the road that he was doing. But like when he came back, he didn't acknowledge what he was accused of at all. And he hasn't since really. And even when he talked about, he said he went to sex rehab. Didn't talk about why at all. It just happened to be a week after that documentary came out, but he never really mentioned why, never mentioned the documentary, never mentioned the allegations in it. He's said he's guilty of things. So based on Chris's response, you're only left to believe that he's guilty of what he's been accused of. Like that interview with what was it that he did? Soft Wet Underbelly? Is that the show?
Right.
It was an abomination. The guy asked 0 follow-up questions. He let Chris completely control it. He didn't ask him about anything. So Chris has never addressed any of the accusations. He's just vaguely been like, yeah, man, sex is crazy. Men have urges and women don't. Ladies, you just don't understand. And that's all he says. And he has his wife on and she tries to get him to talk about it. And that's as close as we're ever going to get, I think.
I like how he did go with the Kobe Bryant defense. I'm only guilty of adultery.
Yeah. Well, it worked for Kobe. And it's worked for Chris. He sells out theaters still. So.
Oh, the wife is, the wife. Chris, people are telling me I'm married to a monster. Would you please explain yourself so everybody gets it a little better?
Right. But you know what you got to say? I think Kobe addressed. He said, "I'm not guilty of rape." Like Kobe acknowledged he was being accused of rape. Chris D'Elia has never acknowledged that, which is the bizarre part.
I saw Kobe and his wife at Disney. Like,
oh, that couldn't have been them.
No, it was. it was a week. It was like a week after that whole thing, and she had the biggest diamond ring I've ever seen in my life on her wrist, on her hand.
I remember the news story.
Oh yeah,
I was there for it, but
I was. They shut down like the antique car so we could get on.
Yeah. And, Craig was helicopter watching in 2020 as well, and he's like, "Look out, Kobe!"
A regular Forrest Gump.
Forrest Plump.
Next is avoidance.
Okay.
I had to not, I had to be like, okay, fuck, all right, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different.
Oh, this is the thing. I mean, Craig and I are very aware of this. This doesn't quite touch his Christmas album, but this is a tell. Like, if we ever play poker with Chris D'Elia and he starts singing, we know exactly what he's got in his hand, because this is the biggest tell Chris has. When he's uncomfortable, he breaks out into song. It's the weirdest thing.
His wife's dancing with him though, which is weird.
Oh, good.
Different. Ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. Judging you by your looks. Ding, 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 ding. Judging if you're 7 or 8. Ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, ding. Even though you're just a bank teller. Ding, 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 ding. My dick will never be in you. Ding, ding. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Some would say it's sexist. Ding, 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 ding. But you're a person. Ding, 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 ding. But that doesn't enter the equation. Ding, ding.
Babe, I'm going to cut that little part and put it when I'm a therapist. I'm going to put it on my homepage.
If I laugh really hard at your jokes, will you stop?
It's a good, genuine laugh. Yeah. Kristen, as you should, because this is your number one patient. This man has so many things that you have worked on that it shows the rigors that you've been through. It's crazy. The idea every time this comes up, he breaks out into song. It's psychotic.
Yeah, we got one last clip.
Okay.
It's just a lost man.
It's interesting on so many levels. The idea that this is his podcast, the idea that this is a man who's been through therapy and rehab. Like, there's been no growth in him. He talks about all these things he's done and how he's changed his life, and his kids are everything now. His kids are his world so much that they're the only material that he does. They're all he thinks about. They're all he wants to talk about. And he's grown and changed, but it doesn't seem like that.
Oh, I actually did have something that I prepared.
Oh, check, please.
Why don't you talk about something stupid like you have been, and I'll go get it.
Oh, I have something I did prepare.
Kristen should be his co-host, where she calls him out of it. She's like, "Will you talk about your dumb shit?" And I'll bring up an actual interesting topic.
My heart say you love me again. Uncry these tears. What, you don't like Tony Braxton? I'll see you later, dude. God, man, it's so crazy how different we are. But then,
does he really have those thin of legs? Is that his leg?
I assume so.
I don't know how he even got in this position in the first place, but it's the thinnest leg I've seen.
That's good. You connect on humor, and then you connect on other things too, like, you're lucky if you have a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever that you connect with sexually. Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people just doink for the doink of it. You know what I mean? And
is he supposed to be above that?
A lot of people, Chris.
There's a baby crying in the background.
Name anyone you know like that, Chris. I'll start.
Is there any chance that like she cheated on him and they just called it a wash?
I don't know. Again, I don't know their relationship. And if they were able to move past that and he doesn't do it anymore, whatever, like good for them. It's just weird the way he talks about it, where we all know a lot of things about their relationship. And yet he talks about it in this way where he's like, we have fucking nothing in common, but I guess we find each other funny. So that's what love is, man. Like, Chris, who are you convincing?
That's not good. Scheduled doinking. But sometimes you got to do scheduled doinking to break through the fucking doinking drought.
That's something they learned in therapy.
It's a progressive mind.
He fucks children. His wife is married to one that acts like one.
Listen, I don't know what Chris does, but I know what he's alleged to have done.
Yeah, sorry, allegedly.
There's a doinking drought sometimes where you're just not doinking for a while. And you're like, hey, sweetie doll, 4:30 Wednesday, before I got my men's group, let's schedule a doink sesh. And then, you either do it or don't do it. And then it shakes things up.
Okay.
He's just he's begging for us to be like, very good, Chris. You're such an adult now. Like, there's got to be something in his life, like if his parents didn't approve of his lifestyle, something happened to this man where he feels he has to be married. And yet every time it comes up on the show, you can tell he's miserable with it. And he's found again, I don't know what their home life is like. He seems to have found the most accepting woman of all of his crimes. And yet he's so miserable every time it comes up. And even when she leaves the room, there's not a wink and a nod like, hey guys, I bust her balls, but she's a good egg. It's like,
never.
Oh, man, I guess fucking, this is what marriage is, It's like, whatever. Like,
when I look at the kids, it's all worth it. I'm not sure. I'd like to hear a positive thing from him too. It's very negative. Meanwhile, she's going to a crying baby in the background.
Well, to your point, David, I think that's why he talks. He's like, "Oh, having kids is crazy, man. It's so great. It's so fulfilling. I don't even need to write an act now. I just talk about how wild it is to be a dad." Because he's still trying to convince us he's a family man. I don't know why Chris D'Elia got in his head that he's like Tiger Woods or Derek Jeter, where he has a brand to protect. Like, if you were a single comic that fucked girls, no one would give a fuck. Why are you pretending you're a family man? Like, who gives a fuck? The problem is, like, they might have been underage. You might have been grooming some of, and you've never once really denied that. You said, I'm not guilty of but you vaguely talked about it. You've never had like a real discussion about this stuff. And then when you've tried to, it's made it worse. The apology, the soft wet underbelly interview, it makes it look like you're hiding something. And then every time you have your wife on and talk like this, it's a terrible look for Chris, I think.
Meanwhile, he's still selling out theaters.
That's true. Yeah, his career's I was gonna say never been better. He's not in movies anymore, I guess. But like comedy wise, I think he's doing just fine. So mazel tov to him. He's still killing it despite all there is to make fun of, I suppose. What should we move on, Craig? Are you still with us?
I'm still with you.
How you holding up, buddy?
I snuck away during that brief conversation real quick. It worked out nicely.
Good. Well, glad. Guys, if you thought Craig was checked out on a typical week, usually think of that the Craig is him zeroed in. Today we're getting a real special brand of Craig.
Guys, I have food poisoning and I'm still doing this. I'm worshiping the porcelain god.
It's too bad nobody's ever made a food antidote.
How do you mean?
Well, it's just a joke.
Well, there's medicine to cure food poisoning.
Oh, Craig, good news.
It's the first time hearing of this.
Well, not cure it, but you could take things to settle your stomach and whatnot.
I'm progressing.
Moving on.
Where do you want to go?
Let's talk about Bert Kreischer and Crack Amico real quick.
Hold on one second.
I just listened to this morning.
This is we talked about trolls last week, and like that sketch that was made about channels like Too Lazy to Try and Beige Frequency and I guess us. But what I do try to remember is that like a lot of the trolling is I do think there's a fine line in it, like, and I don't think we cross it that often, where like a lot of the crazy hate I don't think we get into. And that's why this was nice to see. So Crack Amico made a diss track. It dissed one of his homies with a song about, I think it's titled Two Bears, One Grave, about Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. And did we play this at the time, Craig, when Legion of Skanks called him and played it for him? And he was like Michael Scott at his roast, where he's like, boy, really went after my weight there. I don't know. Bert was hurt by it. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or not, but Bert was hurt by it, but he handled it very well. And I think that's what led to Crack Amico extending this olive branch.
But here we go.
It's true. I've said some unsavory things in the past about friend of the crack house, Bert Kreischer. But today I'm not doing a bit. You're not going to be getting the Crack Amico that you have grown so accustomed to, the demon who feeds off of hates and negativity. That person is dead and gone. I'm here with you today, the man behind Crack Amico, real name, Crackery J Amico. Now I know, here it is, the list why Bert is better than Crack. Let's run through the reasons. Quick time. Bert has a bigger dick. He'd beat my ass because he's stronger. He has more hard-earned money than me and my ancestors combined. He has way more black fans. He's smarter than me. He's taller than me. He's more positive and more friendly. He went to college. He's a better storyteller and broadcaster. He's funnier than me. He can cook better. He's been on Rogan at least 50 times. I've been on zero. He has a movie. He has cool hats, and he's never attacked anybody.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I'm going to send Bert Kreischer an Instagram message. And if Bert ends up seeing this, don't take it the wrong way that I'm doing this on my stream. I said, hey, Bert, you may know me as the rapper who said some honestly untrue and mean things about you. I've been thinking, and I really just wanted to apologize man to man. I feel bad, and I never really expected you to hear the song. Even when you did hear it, you played it very funny and took it well. I can't say I would have done the same. Big J was right. I am a fan. I just got caught up in the hating game. If the offer still stands, I'd love to make a Pro Bert song and join you on the Fully Loaded tour. I'm
Pro Bert
and just want to have fun and prove I'm sorry. Either way, I apologize and thank you for all the laughter you've given me. What do you guys think? And if you don't have anything helpful to say, please. This is serious.
He's a fag.
Oh, that was wrong button.
But I'm sure. First of all, I think it's clear Crack Amico is having fun with that. But also, I'm sure there's people that are like, "You're gay." They follow the Tony Soprano thinking, where they're like, "Fuck you, Crack. We thought you were one of us." I do like when there's a little lightheartedness in all of this, because, like, at the end of the day, this is what I say about Brendan Schaub and Tom Myers and like a lot of the people that we cover is like, at the end of the day, I'm wearing a fucking thick boy. Like, you can't say I'm not a Brendan Schaub fan because I enjoy what he does so much. You know what I mean? I don't enjoy what he thinks he's good at necessarily. Like what Tom Myers thinks he's great at is not my favorite thing about Tom Myers. But I am enthralled by the content they put out.
Oh, it's like the first guy who ever invented the pratfall. He probably was embarrassed.
That's exactly right, David. Yeah. like these people don't realize necessarily why we like them, but that's why I do hate a lot of like what Reddit has become, where I think they've lost sight of that. Is like you should enjoy watching these people to an extent. Now, I think guys like Stuttering John are a little different for certain reasons, and you could argue that Brendan Schaub is different because Brendan Schaub sued a YouTuber. Like he went after Scion,
Right.
tried to have his channel taken down. So you could argue that Brendan Schaub is a terrible example of that. But like Bert Kreischer, the people that like if you goof on Bert Kreischer, make fun of him trying to be like a motivational guy on Instagram, and some like him sucking up to celebrities and some of the douchey shit that he puts out, have at it, have fun, and make jokes about it all you want. Do shows about it, whatever you want to do. The stuff that I don't understand is like the really angry stuff. Like when I get message about people angry about Stuttering John, like, do I get where it comes from? Yeah, but like, let your hair down, have a little fun with it, you know. And so that's why I liked what Crack Amico did, and we have Bert responding to it too, I believe.
Crack Amico wrote a song about me and Tom about hating us, and it was funny and it was so insightful. I mean, it wasn't funny to me because it hurt my feelings, but it was so deep cut. I mean, this guy talked about.
Well, see, I like that. I like that he's like, hey, for me, it fucking sucked. Like, I hate hearing what a fat drunk loser I am, but I get why it was funny, you know? And I do think there's a fine line with that. Like, if you're just on Twitter saying, fuck you, Bert, you're a terrible father, you're a drunk, you're a self-absorbed narcissist, fuck you. I think that's a lot different than Crack Amico writing a well-written, well-thought-out, funny song and putting it out for content. I think there's a massive difference in there. And I think like the internet is starting to figure that out a little bit. We're finding lanes where people are figuring out the difference, because I think it's a very stark contrast between.
Well, just like sports commentary or anything else.
That's exactly how I look at it, David. Where we get like a lot of comments from people that don't know the channel or anything. I noticed particularly Schaub and Callan, and a little D'Elia, and Matt Rife when we would talk. Those four, right. I noticed this a lot, where people that don't know what we do will just comment on the video and be like, look at these guys jealous of Brendan Schaub or Matt Rife or whoever. And it's like, no, we're interested in all of this. I also talk about people I like. Like last week, we talked about what a great job Shane Gillis and Adam Ray did. But not every topic's going to be like that. There's also stuff we enjoy goofing on. It's not a matter of jealousy. There's a lot of successful people that we aren't like, look at what a terrible job they're doing. Sometimes people get popular for doing terrible shit, or get popular and simultaneously do terrible shit. And you can call them out and make fun of them for it. And it's like Sports Center. Like, that's how I look at this, is a comedy version of Sports Center or The Daily Show or something, where we're having fun talking about topics that people are interested in. And the topic that I'm interested in covering is the world of comedy and podcasting.
If Jon Stewart wasn't scribbling, but was actually doing the pictures for Beige Frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
We also did the like 5-minute sketch last week just because it was funny.
Right, we did. Yeah, we played a sketch that essentially they don't know who we are, but they might as well be making fun of us. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So yeah, we talk about things we like as well. That's what Why You Laughing is basically like paying tribute to comics that I like or respect, more or less. There's some episodes shitting on people.
That Lemon Party show. What a strange place to start from to talk. At least any other of these shows they're referencing isn't just a bunch of riffing. Although that Hate Watch podcast that Devin Costa is very funny. Hey, I think his other show should be more well known. They've also sponsored an episode of David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show, or the other way around, I should say. Anyway, I know that Devin Costa. What a kind guy.
You sponsored an episode of their show,
right?
Oh, I didn't realize there was a connection. I didn't realize that.
Well, the Hate Watch podcast, not the, of course. Anyway.
You seem flustered, David. Are you all right?
Well, there's so many names that I'm trying to recall all of a sudden now.
I understand.
I'm a little unfamiliar with that world. What a great doctor sketch, though. Good set.
Yes, it was very good. But yeah, is there more Bert?
Clients my dad had it as a lawyer. I mean, he knew everything. And then this kid did an apology video. He reached out to me and said, "Man, I'm so sorry I sent that. I did that. Got caught up in the hate game, and it was a way to get views I'm paraphrasing for Crack Amico, but he said I am a fan."
Well, I like that Tom, like, this is, I think, the difference between Bert and Tom is Tom doesn't get that at all. He doesn't understand why people would make fun of him, and Bert does. And to me, I think that's a tremendous difference. You can say they've both lost touch with their audience if you want, whatever. Like, I don't think Bert has as much because of a clip like that, where he's like, I totally get what he's making fun of. It might hurt my feelings, but I get why it was funny. And he also reached out and was like cool about it. And now, maybe Crack Amico will play at the Fully Loaded tour or something, which would be very, like, that song we played at the beginning of the show, Predator, is a genuinely great song. Like, Crack Amico has some bangers, as the kids say. So that would be very cool if he got.
He has a new Austin song coming out today.
Oh, is that right?
It may be out as we speak. I'm not sure. Probably later today, though. It was supposed to drop today.
I'll check that out later today. Shout out to Crack Amico. But yeah, I like that whole exchange, and I think it shows that Bert has self-awareness. I think it shows that Crack Amico has self-awareness. And I think that's the point of this show, is like, that's all we ask, because these people have self-awareness. If Chris D'Elia came out tomorrow and did an episode talking about all the things and why there's some truth in some things, or maybe there's no truth in certain things, whatever. If he had an honest discussion about all the things people talk about regarding him, we would have nothing to talk about. Chris D'Elia would have taken it all away from us. So I think that's all we talk about on this show, is people who have no self-awareness. Craig is checked out again.
I thought David was going to respond by his body language, but nothing came out.
Chris D'Elia should run for president.
He's talked about that in the past, actually.
Yeah. He thinks he could do it.
Yeah, so possibly.
What would you like to go next? Well, speaking of presidents, we could go to Ojeda.
Yeah, let's go to Richard Ojeda. We might need you on this, Craig. I hope you can soldier through it, because we need some political expertise here. Because Richard makes some claims that I'm just not sure are true.
Probably not, without even hearing it.
I just don't know about all of these. But last week, do we have that one from Stuttering John first?
Hold on, let me read a couple of these super chats real quick.
On super chats, yeah, let's do that.
We got Patrick Ford. Good morning, Gearheads and Duke disciples.
Hello, Patrick.
We got Joe from Virginia, who put 2 in the chat for me to die, which I was stunned by.
Respect that. Joe from Virginia, one of the Havre de Grace 6.
I thought we were boys. Only 8 patrons from Ojeda drinking game. Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Silence Do Good, $5. I want to support Craig and donate $1,000, but I'm wondering how much of it Mike will take.
100%. Well, no, YouTube takes 30%, and then I'll take the rest.
Is it 30? Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Drew P-Ball's $10. I'm behind this morning, but happy Sunday, gents.
Drew P-Ball is a great soldier on the front lines. I appreciate his work.
And then Dayla, $5. Does David know how to play the brown note? I just died out loud laughing and shit my pants. I will take civil action.
I don't know what that means. David, any comment?
Oh, there are only so many keys on the piano.
David made this person laugh so hard they shit themselves.
Okay.
I'm getting from that.
I was supposed to shout out somebody, but I forgot their name. I think it might have been Acorn or Pine or something like that. I apologize.
Well, that doesn't do as much good, David.
Well, shout out to them.
Okay. Whoever you are, shout out.
Frunkus O'Reilly, $5. You forgot the stream where Crack chastised fans for thinking his apology was genuine.
See, I was wondering I was like, well, I guess he's having fun with it. But it was not genuine at all.
Well, judging by the drop he played right after, I didn't think it was genuine from that point.
I thought that was more self-effacing, like he was making fun of himself.
Oh no, I thought that was directed at Bert.
Oh no, it was all a big prank. He was trying to get on the Fully Loaded tour so that he could just do the diss live in front of his audience. But he got rejected. It takes
away everything I was talking about.
Bert responded and said that, we'd love to have you on. That would be a great idea. But I think his team got wise because Crack did not receive any follow-up after that.
That would be great if Crack, as much as everything I just said goes out the window. It would be great if Crack got on there. It'd be very funny. But that's the thing is, like, I don't like the idea of like tricking Bert into having him on the tour so he can fuck with him.
Oh, well, that's great. It's just one show and the audience would have loved it.
I suppose you're right.
You want to start with the As News Broke, that one?
Oh yeah, this is the one from Stuttering John.
Yeah.
So we're going back to last week, right after this show. David Collins, are you aware that President Joe Biden dropped out of the race in 2024?
Right. I'm surprised he hasn't resigned. I guess that's going to be the next week's conversation. But anyway, I'm getting ahead. I was not aware that this man goes by the Duke now.
Stuttering John goes by the Duke, yes. He's the Duke of the Dabbleverse. You weren't aware of that?
I've heard him say that. I thought he was referencing somebody. I thought he was overdoing somebody else's joke at him. I didn't know it was in all seriousness.
Well, David, nobody crosses the Duke, and I thought everybody knew that, but apparently not, is what you're showing, and that's unfortunate.
I've been in line behind him for the longest time.
But, yeah, so this is on their show. News is breaking around the country. Everyone knows by the time they're talking about this, everyone except these three men on the screen know that Joe Biden not running for president. It will likely be Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. Everyone's talking about this except for these guys who are doing a political show. And this is Richard Ojeda on the Stuttering John podcast.
I think that Joe Biden is not going to step down, and I don't think he should. I think
he already has.
I think he's doing fine. I think that he's picking up momentum. If you listen to his first 100 days of the second presidency, of the things he wants to accomplish, it's amazing. You know, and here's the thing, too. Look, I don't give a shit about the age thing, because age, if you want to talk age, Grassley's fucking daggone 91 years old. But
my mom's 87 and she's fucking...
Yeah, you're right.
What a great contribution, John. So Richard... Here's the like, you know what? I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. Don't tell him I said this. I think Richard's a little wacky. I think he's a little nutty.
Yeah.
But here's the difference in political acumen. Like, if you want to say Richard is down here in political consistency and respectability, dignity that he has. If you want to say Richard's down here, Stuttering John is down in my basement because he doesn't know what like Richard brings up a name of another political figure. Like, this person's 91 years old and they still hold office. And John interjects with, my mother's 87.
That's great, John. Name more senior citizens.
John, your mother's retired and brings Red Bull to an old drunk who's barking orders at her while yelling at super chatters. Your mother is not running the country. You might as well have said Craig's got food poisoning today. That would be just as relevant to the conversation they're having.
I love someone that takes any political commentary so personally that, Biden's pretty old. What, are you insulting my mother?
Yeah, exactly. What'd you say about my mother?
This is hours later, by the way.
Okay, so later, this is just a few hours later on Ojeda Live. And you heard him a second ago, like, guys, you rubes, Biden's not going to step down, and he's the guy we need. He's the only one. Is he fit to run the country? How about he's the only one fit to do it?
4 more weeks. 4 more weeks.
Right. And then, he got the news when he got off of John's show, and he thought, well, how do I frame this?
We got to wake a lot of people up. Folks, let me tell you something. Republicans, you messed up. You really messed up. Because, folks, let me tell you something. Everybody right now is all up in arms and they're worried about what's going on. Let me tell you something. I was more than willing to stand with Joe Biden. I believe that Joe Biden could beat Donald Trump. But now I know that we have a great path for the presidency. We got a path to win the House, to win to increase
finally
in the Senate, because voting blue is what we need to do. And I'm going to tell you, folks, Kamala Harris is ready. We are ready.
Finally. Now, listen, did I think Biden could beat Trump? Of course, as we all did. This guy he's cogent, he's coherent, he's fantastic. Did we think Biden could win? Of course. But now that dead weight is out of the way, we can finally let the woman run who should have been running the whole time. Now, never once did I hear Richard Ojeda say, maybe Biden should get out of the way because I think this Kamala Harris would be really good.
Right. It's a Kamalamanon.
That's well said, David.
You know,
it's so interesting to watch their brains shift. And, you know, the right does this too, whatever. Like all people that are this extreme do this shit where they get their brain twisted up and they're like, well, how do I make this fit my narrative?
This woman got 0 delegates in 2020. 0.
They have somehow in the last 5 years ended up with the least popular person.
Yes, less popular than my guy Andrew Yang. People thought Andrew Yang was nuts, and still we're like, you know what? We like him better than Kamala. She just seems unlikable. And now you're hearing these people who have been left with no other choice be like, "Oh, did we luck into the best possible option?"
I was hoping Dean Phillips would have been given more of a chance.
Dude, she was sending out links to like the bail funds and shit, and they're bringing them up, and they're like, she never did that, and the tweets are still up. Like they're not even good at hiding it at this point.
It's so funny to watch people twist themselves into a pretzel.
You know, all those little girls out there, this is the moment that we show them that they too can grow up and one day be the president of the United States. What's wrong with that?
You tell them.
I had in the ring a couple of years ago to run for president. I just wanted to make it to the debates because I wanted to rip some people's ass.
Wow.
Hold on 1 second. Go back a little bit. And now I'm going to listen to the vim and vigor in Richard's voice. He's all fired up. I wanted to rip these guys a new asshole. Now listen to the deflation that comes right after when he talks about his presidential run.
Be the president of the United States. What's wrong with that? You know, I threw my hat in the ring a couple of years ago to run for president. I just wanted to make it to the debates because I wanted to rip some people a new ass. But you know what I thought when I threw my hat in the ring? I thought to myself, you know, I'm from West Virginia. And I remember growing up in school where they told us that you can be president if you do the right things, stay out of trouble, work hard, you can one day become the president. Nice. Make sure you tell the truth. You can be president.
What?
And that's when I thought to myself, why not? Why not me throw my hat in the ring?
Hell yeah.
Because I should be able to do that too. Now, once again, I dropped out 2 months later. You know, shit over. But at the end of the day, you know, I just wanted to make it to the daggone debates.
He didn't. I love Richard, but it's not an inspirational tale to be like, I was a little kid. And I was growing up in West Virginia, and they taught us even some country bumpkin like you can one day grow up to be president. So you know what I did? I threw my hat in the ring, and by God, 2 months later, I was completely out of it. And I didn't accomplish my one goal of getting in the debates.
I cannot wait to see him wear a white guys for Kamala hat.
Can we... Richard, enough dilly-dallying. You should be running for president. Like, enough bullshit. Let's get Richard in the race because he shouldn't have given up on that goal. I want Richard on a debate stage. Can you imagine Trump versus Richard?
That would be incredible.
I really think it would, unless we get, like, mild-mannered Richard. If he feels like if he's running, he can't be as animated as he usually is. But if Richard talks about Donald Trump shitting his diapers and threatening to curb stomp him and ask him to go out on the street to fight him, like, that would be, I think, exactly what this nation needs to finally heal.
What did Trump call him that set him off?
A wacko.
That's all Trump's got to say, and like the whole debate decorum goes out the window.
Right.
Remember, David, are you aware of this? Did you know Richard Ojeda was a Trump voter?
I didn't know that they interacted in any way.
So Ojeda voted for Trump in 2016.
Wow.
And then, which you would not expect by listening to him. But then Trump lost Richard's vote when, I don't know why it came up. Richard was a state senator in West Virginia. I don't know how he got on Trump's radar, but someone asked Donald Trump about Richard, and Donald Trump called him a wacko. And Richard had a sworn enemy from that day forward. That's what I love about Richard.
Well, it's good that it's so personal. You'd hate to hear that it's he's in one of these other politically involved people. It makes it's straight to home with him.
Yeah, no, you'd hate to think he was like genuine about all his beliefs. It's good. It's good that it's totally because Trump said something kind of mean once.
I don't want to get too controversial, but I thought of a great. Maybe you guys could do this as merch or something. I'm sure these would sell well. I got a great idea: a hat that says "I'm with Zer."
You think we should sell that?
Yeah, or whoever gets to it first.
All right, maybe that's a hack ride idea. I could see that on hackridethedemon.com. I'm with Zer. Craig not reacting to it at all. Craig doesn't seem to like it.
Well, he's writing it down, I hope.
Oh,
I
good.
was making notes.
Yeah, good.
We got Ojeda about to flip out about voting for women right now.
This is Norm Macdonald had cancer for a decade and did it with more decorum and poise than Craig is displaying with a bellyache right now. This is brutal to watch.
Oh, I'm sure Norm had his bad days.
He probably did. I can't get away from the toilet. It's terrible.
We can rally behind Kamala Harris against the man that does nothing but spew hatred, against the man that is trying to bring Project 2025 to light.
He says it as he's foaming at the mouth, by the way.
Democracy. It will kill our country. It will take women back 70 friggin' years.
Okay, hold on, Craig. This is where I'm going to need you.
2025.
Take
We'll
some
put
pause
every
real quick.
single woman back
Whoa, Richard, we're losing control here.
Wow.
Craig, I'm going to need you here. Take your Pepto-Bismol or whatever you got to do. You're a political guy. Are you aware of these charges that Richard is making?
I'm never aware of anything that comes out of his mouth.
Let's hear this again. Back it up a little, because you know what Project 2025 is, right?
I know of it, and I'm still I know more about the memes.
It's basically, so I know very little, but my understanding of it, it's basically Trump and the Republicans' plan for if they take office, if they win in November, their plan for 2025 will be to reform the nation in the following ways. And Richard's about to give us some. Now, I don't know. I asked the Warthog, he's my political guy. He doesn't seem to know what Richard's talking about here. But any of you in the chat, if you're aware of this, if you're more politically minded than us, please let us know, because Richard is making some heavy claims here about what the Republicans plan on doing in January.
Project 2025 to light that will absolutely destroy our democracy. It will kill our country. It will take women back 70 friggin' years. Because Project 2025 will send every single woman back to 1950. You will be barefoot, pregnant, and in the damn kitchen.
Barefoot?
That's what they want.
That's what they're going to take their shoes down.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I was actually muted earlier when you brought it up. I muted myself, and I was just talking to myself, and I said, "Why? What's going on here?" But the Heritage Foundation wrote this 600-page document, or whatever the case is, and it's called Project 2025. And nobody's committed to any of the things in there, but there are some pretty standard down the line conservative pieces in there. I think pieces having to do with abortion and pieces, but there's also actually some legislation that suggestions in there more in the foreign department that would be I'm not very politically minded either. That's actually a little more left leaning. So if you read the whole thing, it's kind of interesting, but none of these things are really committed to by any candidate regardless. So it's interesting that even you would be brought up.
You seem to know a lot more about this than I do, because I thought there were at least Republicans tied to it in some way, or Trump.
Well, they are. It's the Heritage Foundation. Okay, it's a lobbying group in DC.
Trump himself has not said this is my plan or anything.
No, but they're probably funding a portion of his campaign. Just like any lobbying group. This is this is the report of what we would want, if ideally.
And in there, and I understand you can't necessarily 100% confirm this. Does it say we're going to take shoes away from women?
Right? No, not at all. And I listened to a 40-minute discussion about this, and nothing about the shoes.
It's barefoot in the kitchen. Maybe it just got cleaned or something. But I don't want to hear any of these people talk about democracy getting taken away while this woman's getting appointed with a no vote. I want to hear none of that.
there also may be some conflation there because I think there's something going around. J.D. Vance had some former statement about women not being allowed to vote. And I think some people have also conflated that to say, oh, is Project 2025 women not being allowed to vote? No, I think that's something J.D. Vance had once said.
We're going to get there, David. Don't you worry. We're about to get there.
It might be a better country if that was the case.
But we're about to get there.
This country, that's a fact.
Maybe at a comedy competition. Don't get me started.
The population, men control 49% of the population. We can rally behind a woman, and we can finally put a woman in the daggone White House. And I guarantee you, she will absolutely be a phenomenal president because she knows what Joe Biden's first 100 days is. And I guarantee you, she will follow through with that. And it will be phenomenal for us.
This is the same candidate. So that's what Richard's hoping for, is just that, hey guys, if you were going to vote for Biden, no difference, samesies, don't worry about it.
The most popular president ever to the least popular candidate ever, with no choice. That's bullshit.
Either move forward and protect your wives, your daughters, your nieces. You can put them on a path where they're going to be better, they're going to be taken care of, or you can go backwards. And you can literally make them literally barefoot, pregnant, and in a daggone kitchen.
Literally, again, would imply that women are going to be taken out of the workforce.
I mean, he's picking things that happen all the time. He could have been like, they'll be literally like beat to death in the woods or something. But he's like, they're going to be cooking dinner for you.
Yeah, I don't. So is he saying that, like, if Trump wins? Now, it's also important to keep in mind, again, I'm not political. This is not me buzz off in the comments with the political stuff. Just look at Richard as a man here. Whereas as I recall, as a human being, Trump won in 2016 and then was president for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then left the White House. I remember, I know January 6th and all that, but like, he did leave.
It was like worse than 9/11. Don't forget.
I know, I understand how bad it was, but like, he did leave, and now they're trying to get you to believe that. And I'm just remembering the fucking David Cross clips. Fuck, we're never gonna get out of here.
Oh shit!
If you don't have them, good. We'll never get to them.
No, I do have them.
I totally forgot, but they're worth doing. But we'll see. We'll get there in a minute.
Yeah.
But like, Trump was president already. It's kind of weird to be like, this guy's Hitler, and we're gonna go back to the 50s, and women are gonna have their jobs taken away and their shoes, apparently.
Well, I probably disagree with the majority of whatever that Project 2025 really says, but from Richard's description of it, it sounds like a good. Oh, really? We're gonna have families that don't need dual income, and somebody can just be home and do these things. I mean, that kind of. I don't want to force that on anybody, but that would kind of be what we all aspire to. Is that not right?
Yeah, it's weird. They don't pick apart. What they should be doing is picking apart the actual document instead of fear mongering and saying we're going to go back to the Middle Ages.
Yeah, Ojeda's basically like, you want the American dream back? Vote for Trump.
They're going to force you to have the Constitution branded on your back.
This is when he gets into Karens, though. This is tough.
Does he know what a Karen is? I suspect not, based on this.
And every woman out there needs to be supporting Kamala Harris. If you're a Karen, if you are a Karen, think about it. Think about it. What would it do to put a woman in the Oval Office? I'm telling you, folks, that is the best thing that could happen for us right now. The Republicans have done nothing but scream about Joe Biden being incompetent. You can't say that shit about Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is now the old guy who barely can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's a fact.
Oh,
my mother's 87.
Yeah, John's mom's 87, first of all, Richard. And I thought you said there was no problem with Biden's age a minute ago. But also, does he think Karen refers to just all women? Like, oh, the lady that my waitress at dinner last night was a Karen.
That's right-leaning woman. Right-leaning women's a Karen.
The impression I got is that he was saying, hey, racist white women, forget about, just remember you're voting for a woman.
I guess, but a Karen is a very specific thing that he's like, hey, you Karens, vote for Kamala. It's a weird thing to bring up there, I feel like.
We need a president that will ask for a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, they want to take you back to the 50s. They want to talk. They're talking about challenging the 19th Amendment. That's what gave you the right to vote. Folks, let me tell you something.
This is just comical when the putting Kamala up without a vote. Like all this shit is just a double standard.
Hold on. So like I know that's not been mentioned, taking away women's right to vote. I don't think has been mentioned. But he mentions one that I don't even understand where he's coming from with this. David, you seem to know more about this Project 2025 than I do. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you at all.
People that are in interracial relationships. And it's not just white and black. It's interracial relationships, just like J.D. Vance's, where his wife is Hindu and he's white.
Hold on, Richard. Doesn't that tell you they're probably not going to outlaw it?
He has a problem with Middle Eastern people, from what I gather in the chat all the time.
Richard, wouldn't it suggest if the vice president is married to a person of a different race, wouldn't it suggest that they're not trying to outlaw? Like, where the fuck did that come from? They're outlawing interracial marriages?
It's a nightmare.
Where his wife is Hindu and he's white. But make no mistake about it, they're literally wanting to outlaw that shit and then place it on the states to decide whether or not you think a black man should be allowed to be married to a white woman or vice versa.
Well, I gotta agree with Richard. If that was being brought to a state legislator, that would certainly be big news. I'm not sure how that's gonna get there, but
I would think so. I would think so. This is all very like Richard. You lose credibility. No one's going to believe this is what happened. This is why CNN and MSNBC and these news outlets lost credibility, is because for 4 years they were like, this guy's Hitler. And no one's, well, some people maybe have learned from their mistakes, but Richard certainly hasn't, where he's like, guys, women can't vote and you can't marry an Indian lady. Who's suggesting that? If the vice presidential candidate is in an interracial marriage, why would you think they're trying to outlaw it? What does that even mean, Richard? What are you talking about?
Hackright says, Craig, she's VP. There was, quote, some democracy that put her in there. Get over it, Craigers. I'm like, well, if Biden died or stepped down today and she became president, that is different.
Hey,
that's not what happened.
Hackright, hold on. Sorry, David, 1 second. Since Hackright is in the chat, I have a question for him, and he can respond. If we do a double header today, is he around? Because this is, I can tell Craig is sick, obviously. We have like another at least 2 hours worth of content.
At minimum.
So if Hackright is around for more, maybe we'll take a break and come back in the afternoon. But Hackright, if you're around for a second show today, let us know in the comments. Sorry, David, what were you going to say?
Good question. Well, Kamal, it's so funny. I was actually listening to I saw an old, it was a memory, and I read it, and it said it was a chart from the old 2019 debate to the Democratic primary, and it was the first one. And before we knew anything about all these people, it was a chart of the talk time. And the most time, about triple most of the other people, was Joe Biden, and about double most of the other people, Kamala Harris. So they had kind of decided already by the first primary debate in 2019 exactly what they wanted the next 6 years to look like.
Yeah, well, you know what it's like a little bit. I don't know if this analogy is going to track necessarily, but it's like if we were trying to get you guys in the chat to agree with us on Crystal. Like, some of the points we make are the same. Sometimes we like goofing on them for a lot of the same stuff. But it's like if every week we were trying to change your mind on Crystalia. Like, you already agree with us, more or less. That's why you're watching it. Richard, every week, is talking to people who agree with him, yet is pleading with them to change their mind and vote with him.
And we bring him here to give him a good chance.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't changed Craig's mind yet, which I'm surprised by. But
Hackright says he's around, but I have to support Kamala Harris publicly.
Will you do it?
I mean, I already said women shouldn't vote like 20 minutes ago. So.
Just say it. Just say it publicly. Say Kamala Harris should be president. So
Kamala Harris should be president.
I'm sorry, I stepped over you. Let it go.
There's a great comedian in the area here that does a great joke about, we shouldn't even let them read. That handles the whole voting thing.
Sounds like a funny guy.
He's a very funny guy. The Wizard.
This is the last Richard clip.
Okay.
He doesn't know who Karen is.
It's vexing to me. Like, I guess he's pleading for the Karen vote, but I don't think he quite grasps what a Karen is.
And all of you Karens out there, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to not vote for Donald Trump, but your opportunity to finally put a woman in the White House. Let's see what Kamala can do.
Why do people give a fuck about that shit so much?
Why does he specifically care about Karens?
You know what I wasn't worried about? If Hillary Clinton, thank God, won, I wouldn't have worried about her going into Putin's office and talking to him, because she'd probably kill him while she's in there. You know what I mean? But Kamala's just going to go in and laugh like a fucking goof, and everyone's just going to take everything from us, is what's going to happen.
The universal language, laughter.
That's right, David. So I don't know. I don't think he quite knows what a Karen either. I guess he thinks a Karen is a racist Trump voter. But then why? So you're begging racists to vote on your team like that? You want racists to align with you politically? Is that what he's begging for? It's a strange plea, is my point.
He's trying to organize in class lines.
What did you want to do the Stuttering John stuff with him later? Is that what it is?
Well, Stuttering John, Steel Toe, and David Cross. We have a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we can do at least any. Stuttering John's going to take like 2 hours.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But David Cross is kind of on topic if you wanted to do it now.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to do so if Hackride, if you're around, we will do Stuttering John and Steel Toe. I'm sorry, not Hackride. We don't want Hackride.
Yeah. Casey Day.
If Hackride's around, we're done. but Casey Day, if you're around, maybe Electric can join. David, if you got nothing to do today, you're more than welcome to join as well. But we're not going to fit all of it into this show, but we can do it in a little bit if Casey Day is around. So give us a thumbs up, Casey, if that works for you.
Just from the clips I sent you, it's 30 on.
This David Cross, I have no idea what we're going to be looking at here, but I'll tell you, there's nobody else that I'm so happy when I see him in the credits of a film or a show or a project, but so nervous when I see him as a guest on a podcast.
Well, David Cross, this is his podcast.
I didn't even know he had one.
It's relatively new, and David Cross obviously is very, very far left guy. And even in this episode, he's one of these guys that talks about, like, if Trump gets in office, he's never going to, he kind of like smugly says, like, people think he's going to leave office. He'll be in for, 6 more terms or whatever the fuck. Like, crazy. He's a little crazy and radical. And so that's why when someone recommended to me, this is another Warthog recommendation. When he recommended this episode to me, I thought it was just going to be a complete douche fest because David Cross had the guy from Pod Save America, which, by the way, Pod Save America, a very left-leaning podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Their hosts are Jon Favreau and Jon Lovett.
Not the real ones.
I understand that. Yeah.
Jon Favreau went to my high school.
Extraordinarily coincidental.
Jon Favreau went to my high school and then went and wrote for Obama.
Did you know? Wow.
I didn't know him, no.
And then, Jon Favreau and Jon Lovett. So Jon Lovett, in fact, the Warthog tells me, like, hey, you should listen to David Cross's latest podcast. And when I saw it, I thought like he misspelled it in the title or something. I was like, Jon Lovitz is on? Why am I watching this?
Real quick, why can't I click this? Hobo Stabber, $2. I want Hack Ride.
No. Hack Ride is in
timeout.
Great Beyond.
Melissa, $5. I love Hack Ride.
I meant Casey Day, damn it, I misspoke.
Manny Muskets, $2. David Cross was my favorite part of Pootie Tang. And I love Hack Ride.
He did not say that.
No,
David Cross is great, but his perception of time must be a little off. It's strange he would think that Trump would last longer in office than any of the shows that he's been a part of.
Well, so that's what I thought too. I thought he was going to be like a complete smug asshole on here, which maybe from John Lovett's perspective he was. But I thought David Cross was actually hilarious in this interview because he just fucks with this John Lovett guy the entire episode. I mean, they get into it. Like, I wouldn't advise Craig watch it because there is a lot of what Craig would describe as nauseating political discussion. But if you watch
Especially
these
today.
clips, if you watch these clips, yeah, he'd be shitting his brains out. But if you watch these clips, David Cross was very funny throughout this interview, and it makes you happy that, like, as crazy as some of these guys get, you're like, okay, David Cross still does have that muscle. He's still a funny guy.
But it was pretty bad, and then I still got paid, but I didn't really have.
This is, by the way, like, they've been on for 5 minutes. And I think this is where you could see David Cross be like, okay, I'm just going to fuck with this guy. They've been on for 5 minutes. They're clearly doing a show. And then John Lovett seems a little confused here.
Be there, as it were.
It's a great gig. That's a great gig. That's a great gig. No, I couldn't speak for a second. Are we in? Is this happening? Are we in the pod?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
I love that for us.
Yep. You happy?
I feel great.
Okay, good. All right, we're officially going.
Yeah, so you hear David Cross be like, I think this is a guy that'll be easy to fuck with, kind of.
Yeah, I think so. Next, we have the authors.
Okay, so John Lovett is on promoting this book, and it just, like, it seems like an incredibly pompous book to write. It's like rules to voting, basically, or rules to democracy or something. You'll hear David Cross promote it here, but he's caught up in something that he can't get past in John's book promotion.
And who's Josh Holloway?
Josh Holloway.
Why does he get a tiny little print?
Well, it's with him.
Yeah.
He's with us.
Wait, how much? Josh?
He did a lot. Josh did a lot.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask. He did a lot. Why is his name tinier and underneath everybody?
Well, because it's with him.
Well, why don't you just get rid of the word with?
Well, that's a contractual thing, I think.
Well, why didn't you have it part of the contract? Why didn't you be democratic, as it were, equitable, fair, just, and give the guy credit where credit's due?
It's a great point.
We didn't want to, because we wanted it to be more about me, John, and Tommy, and less about Josh.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. Why didn't you just say that in the beginning instead of dancing
because
around?
I didn't know what kind of fucking hardball Jake Tapper shit I was going to get from you.
That's hardball? Is that hardball?
No.
Is it Wolf Blitzer?
No.
You can tell John Lovett is never comfortable throughout this whole interview. He can't tell if David's fucking with him or not. And David is just like, why? He's just shitting all over his book the whole time. Like, I think we have him reading some of the rules, and he's just like, to his face, openly mocking John Lovett.
Steps.
Yeah, so this is my favorite when David is talking, because this book is written so smugly, and it's about, like, democracy and things, but it's written in this kind of condescending way where he's talking down to the audience, or maybe he's talking down to the people that the book isn't for, I guess. But David Cross pretty much rips it apart here.
So let me see. Here we go. Wait.
Oh, by the way, already just reading someone's book in front of them is insulting them.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna thumb through the pages of your guest's book, you're basically like, I'm fucking with you, just so you know, because it's so uncomfortable.
Is this a show format anywhere? This is a great idea to have a guest and just read their book in front of them.
David, I think you might be the perfect guy for that, actually. I think you're onto something.
I have to start reading.
You start reading and get some guests lined up.
Well, actually, I don't know if reading is important. It doesn't seem like David Cross did.
I'll take some
That's
notes.
true. He didn't pre-read it. He's just reading it live on air.
So let me find step. Oh, this does look fun. Okay. Step 9. All right. So step 7, give yourself a break.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice
Pop a
one.
squat for a beat, kids. Elder millennials are speaking. Let me redo that. Papa Squat for a beat, kids. Elder millennials are speaking.
Here's what's funny, Craig. I think David Cross, and this is what I was surprised by. This is why I found the interview interesting. David Cross aligns with this guy politically, and yet I think he still had the same reaction to this book.
Yeah.
He's like, ugh, why are you talking to us like this?
That's disgusting.
This far, which means you've done a lot, but it doesn't feel like enough, and you're wondering if it ever will. And that means it's time, ellipsis, to do nothing. Look, politics is a slog.
He's just insulting him to his face, insulting his work.
Mm-hmm. All right. Work on a
I
campaign.
hope David does the audiobook.
That'd be great.
Oh, I know Ben Wickler.
Yeah.
I did some work for him. Good guy.
He is.
Stuff.
We'd be
in Wisconsin.
We'd be in better shape if all state party chairs were like Ben Wickler.
Yeah. Well, he single-handedly lost the Clinton presidency. Yeah, I'm willing to go there.
I don't think that's true. I don't think you can.
I don't want anybody to.
I don't think you can put it. You're very dry. I don't think. You're right. You're very dry.
You're absolutely right.
Look,
this John Lovett guy is so. Yeah, David's like, yeah, I am. I've been dry for 40 years. That's how I've made a career. You're on my show. What did you think I was going to do? Praise your book, your dumb book?
Sit down. Older millennials are talking. That's disgusting.
That's why I was happy. The Warthog messaged me and said you should check out this interview, and I was like, I don't know how much I feel like watching two liberals have a progressive off with each other. But when I saw what David Cross was doing, I was like, so he's still a funny guy. Like he could see this book, no matter what his political views are. If he 100% agrees with this guy or think he doesn't go far enough or whatever he thinks, he can still be funny. Like open this book and read it for what it is.
He was unbelievable in Scary Movie 2 also.
Well, I mean, he's great in Arrested Development. He's very funny.
I kind of liked the writing of the book, Craig. It kind of reminded me of Dr. Seuss.
I don't know if that's what John Lovett was going for, but
no, this is David Cross being passive aggressive.
Okay. Well, according to John Lovett, anyways. But let's see how David handles it.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, it sounded like
she was.
It sounds like you were saying she's not here.
Yeah, you can't tell at home, but I looked at him when I said that.
Right. So it sounded like she wasn't here, but what people didn't realize is that was a kind of passive aggressive way of asking her to chime in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think aggressive is a bit strong. I don't think it was aggressive.
No, passive aggressive. That's what mediates the aggressiveness.
Not really. Not. I don't think so. I don't think that's how people take it. When it's still a derogatory kind of.
No, it's 100% derogatory.
Yeah, so
no, I'm not saying it's. No, I'm not.
So it doesn't mitigate aggressive.
Well, something can be derogatory and not as derogatory. So it.
Sure. Yeah, by degrees. Yeah,
that's
not
what I was saying. That's the point I was making.
Okay, so then we have to qualify the mitigation of how effective was the mitigation.
Well, that's a different point.
Not effective at all.
I think it would. No, not as effective as you wanted it to be.
Oh, true. Yeah, I can't say
if I had said like you're being aggressive, that's I think a bit worse than saying you're being passive aggressive.
I disagree.
Okay, you think
because then I can completely refute it going, what are you talking about? I'm not being aggressive. But if you say passive aggressive, you go, yeah, but then you have to qualify passive aggressive, which we've been doing for the last, 2 minutes.
Yeah. And people love
that. I am not sure that this will ever air.
Oh.
He's just fucking with him the whole time. And you can tell John Lovett is never comfortable. He's trying to go along with the bits at times, but you can tell the difference between like a funny guy and an unfunny guy.
Oh, he's searching for something to hold on to, definitely. He's like, you're being passive aggressive with me, right? And he's just, please, give me a line.
Yeah. You can tell the difference between a guy who's hilarious and a guy who is like, what am I doing here? I came to the wrong place to promote this dumb book.
Yeah, this isn't going to sell very many copies.
How many bottles of water does he get through this podcast?
I'm not sure.
Is this good? Question mark.
This is like cringy. Where again, I think John Lovett is trying to match David. John Lovett is not a good straight man for David Cross. There's a skill to that John Lovett I don't think quite masters and just comes off very douchey.
Wait. We deliver more than just a car. Bill Spreen Toyota. We deliver.
Nice.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Remember that one?
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Unclaimed Freight in Hapeville.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? Yeah.
Unclaimed Freight in Hapeville.
Yeah. Are there any more, or do you think?
Let me think of one, and then when you start going, I'll interrupt you with it.
I think Joe Biden's doing a really great job, and
knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting.
No.
Do you like talking to me? Like, are you enjoying this conversation? Do you think, do we have a rapport? Because I
gotta make my own fun, John.
I naturally match the person I'm sitting across, their energy. That's sort of like instinctively, that's what I do. So I'm
it
trying
shows
to match your energy. I feel like I'm doing it.
Very kind of chameleon-esque.
Yes. There's a
word
dryness to it. It's sophisticated. It is.
Do you think I'm cute?
Do I think you're cute? Yeah, I do think you're cute. I think you're cute.
Thank you, Emma. See?
It never gets comfortable. Like John Lovett never finds a groove in this interview.
Democracy or else.
Or else. Oh.
There's like 20 minutes in the middle where they actually start talking politics, and that's just the part I fast forwarded through. And that's the only time that David will actually like not fuck with John Lovett because he wants to get his points out. Anytime that John Lovett gets like serious, David is like, I have no interest in hearing what you have to say.
Really dismissed him as, I think, a younger man. Is it really what he probably is insulted by the language in the book, saying, "Hey, why don't you write something that I can read? Who are you for?"
Yeah, I think he thinks the book is douchey, and I think he didn't really want to seriously promote it to his audience because he probably figures they would think the same thing.
When you tell people to sit down and listen to you, you're a pompous dickhead.
But well, John Lovett is one of these guys. He seems to. I know very little about Pod Save America, but from the little I've seen of him, he seems like a guy that tries to do that as a joke. Like, hey, older millennials are speaking. Imagine if I was that big of a douche. But he also is kind of that big of a douche, so the character doesn't work really, you know?
Take a load off. Lend me your ear. There's nicer ways to say it.
I would think so, David.
This next one is, do you like me?
It just never gets comfortable. And I love David Cross for it. He never lets him find his footing.
That's how you have to say it. So it's Democracy or Else, How to Save America, and 10 Easy Steps from the hosts of Pod Save America.
That's us.
John Favreau, John Lovett, Tommy Viator, with Josh Holloway.
That's perfect. That's great. That's exactly how you say it.
And
well, because we host the show, right? So it's
whatever, dude.
It's a book from the show. I don't need to explain myself to you.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain fucking shit to you. I'm not.
You just were. You're not because I stopped you. Step 1, be prepared.
Yeah, that's right.
Step 2, get informed. Step 3.
He's openly mocking the steps.
Yeah,
now, come on.
That's a little joke.
All right. Step 4, the buck starts here.
Do you like me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
that's why. Great. Keep going.
Yeah.
That is, I will say this, as much as we're mocking John Lovett here, I relate to the feeling of like, this guy's making fun of me, but like, is it in good fun or does he fucking hate me? Like, I can empathize with that feeling, but I think it's pretty clear that David Cross just doesn't care about this guy and is looking for ways to kill time until the hour's up.
Well, have a little confidence in your book. He's almost saying he might as well say, I didn't really write that part. It was somebody else. It was my co-host. It's actually that Tom guy you keep bringing up.
Yeah, you can tell he's embarrassed by it because he's not standing by anything and going, no, it's actually very funny. He's like embarrassed by the whole thing. And to say, that's a real like Jeb Bush moment. That was tough to watch. Craig?
Have you ever said that, Craig?
No, I don't.
No.
Are you actually dying?
I don't get granular with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to keep leaving to go to the bathroom. Oh, Casey Day's here.
Don't worry, Mike. I'm here for you, baby.
Thank God. Casey Day to the rescue.
He left already.
Yes or no?
We'll be joining Casey later.
Yeah, just backstage, whatever you.
All right.
Pass fail here. This is pass fail for me.
Okay. Step 5, volunteer. Step 6.
I like you, by the way. You didn't ask, but I do like you.
Well, I don't care. Step 6.
Don't care at all.
No.
That's when David just gets purposely cunty. Well, I don't care. I don't care about you and your dumb book.
You shouldn't care either.
No, and like again, these are two guys that have the same political views, and I think John Lovett thought that meant that they're equals. And David Cross is making it very clear. Oh no, like there's some topics we agree on, but I don't like respect you in any way.
It was like 3 or 4. I was like, there were a few moments where, oh, right. Like that's a kind of, there were still those guys that were of a generation where it was like a secret, but not a well-kept secret.
Right. Well, there's still
plenty of those. Yeah.
So I think it's been a while and I haven't asked this question yet. Israel versus Palestine.
Right. Big topic for sure. Definitely.
Where do you stand? Where do you fall on this?
Where do I fall on that topic?
Yeah. Israel v. Palestine.
Right.
I don't want to say versus. I think that's not the right way to.
I think framing it as a versus is probably not.
That's not
where you want it to be.
Exactly what
that's why I just say V, which I know is short for versus, but it sounds it's more vis-a-vis.
I am a progressive Jewish person, and it is very difficult to reconcile the conflicting feelings of being someone who wants to support a Jewish state and a democratic.
We'll edit out all the pauses in between.
For sure.
I didn't want to. I knew obviously where it was going, so I didn't want to interrupt the clip. But the whole time, I'm just thinking, like, why is he talking like this?
Because he wants to be like, I support Palestine, but I am Jewish, and you're kind of killing all my family.
He's incredibly nervous about everything he's saying, so he's being very careful with each word and making sure that it's the right thing that his people won't cancel him for. And David Cross is just sitting there. Get to the fucking point, man.
On this topic, you think I should just fucking spout off on this? You think there's not enough of that? You think there's too many people being careful about how they speak about this, and not enough people just saying whatever the fuck comes to their head? That's your view on this topic. Your view on this topic is not enough people are taking their time.
Asking me a question.
No, I feel like I'm taking my power back. No, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm being crazy.
No, I would like more people to not be so careful. Yes.
David's like, Jesus Christ, get to the point, man. Like, that was an obnoxious way to have a conversation. Can you imagine someone talking that slow? It's fucking crazy. And good for David for being like, yeah, we'll edit around this.
I think they should do what they did in whatever they did in Korea. Where they just drop a bunch of bombs in between and a mile in between, and then you just have no interaction because there's too many bombs in the way.
Damn straight, brother.
This is our last clip here.
Oh, goody.
Also, if you want to continue with Casey Day, we don't even have to end the stream, but if you need a break, then I would start a new one.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's play this clip first.
John.
Yes.
Of Pod Save America. Which John are you?
I'm John Lovett.
Okay, John Lovett. Of Pod Save America and the new book, Democracy or Else, How to Save America in 10 Easy Steps. The bulk of it was written by Josh Holloway. Let's give a shout out to him.
Shout out to Josh. And one thing I want to say about the book, which we're enjoying the bag?
Yes.
Openly laughing at this guy's book.
See, look at this. We're getting a full laugh from David Cross just from the blurbs on the back. This is a funny book.
Okay. He's just mocking him to his face, and John Lovett doesn't know what the fuck to do with it. It's such an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible book too.
Well, that's what that's the part that I love is that in John Lovett's mind, it feels weird to say. Yeah, that's the ticket. In John Lovett's mind, this book should be for David Cross, and David Cross is going like, "Oh, I mean, I'm a crazy liberal, but I'm not an asshole. Like, you can't just spoon feed me horse shit,
and you can't tell
me to like it.
Tell David Cross that it's a funny book. That's a guy that knows comedy. Don't try to say that you're getting in his territory. Of course,
yeah. If nothing else, you can pour whatever liberal dreck down his throat that you want, but you can't be like, "This is funny," and expect David Cross to be, "Oh yes, hilarious."
Cyborganic, $5. David Cross once went on the official podcast with Critical, and he took his dog for a walk during the episode.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So was that the last clip from David Cross?
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed that podcast. I would say we clipped all the good parts. If you align with Craig politically, you probably don't want to listen to the whole thing. It might be a little nauseating for you. I found the best stuff. I found the meat. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Is Casey Day? Can we bring him on for a group discussion here for a moment?
What up?
What's up, Casey? All right. So
that's funny. Is it Casey Day with a C?
It's KC Day.
Of course that makes sense.
Look who's up there doxing.
Because David Cross, we mentioned Devin Costa, of course, David Collins, and then the inverse is a CD. But a lot of DCs on the show.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say a lot. Devin Costa wasn't on the show, really.
Where he came up. Chris D'Elia. Reverse it.
Oh, yeah, Chris D'Elia.
Wow.
Hey, yeah, he stuck the landing. Great job.
Or in a simulation.
Hey, Craig, also, I heard you got some dirty pussy, and that's why you sound like that. Is that true?
Oh, I ate some bad chicken.
You gotta dip it before you lick it, brother. I mean, you don't just dive right in. I mean, you're a rookie. You've been away from the game for a while, so I understand.
Where, Casey, as an observer, where do you rank this among Craig's top performances?
The fact that the StreamYard is going out equally to him is beautiful. It's art. That's now art. I would just say it was like, Krager's being Krager's, but now I think it's some sort of like 18th century art. He's doing some sort of Andy Kaufman on us.
I've shit 3 times during this episode, if anyone's curious.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
You could have just left your camera focused at a chalkboard the whole show and just taken notches down.
That's true.
That I'm actually impressed by. But
next, you got to do the Wendy thing and send pictures of it to all her friends. Yes, send it to Mike right now.
No.
He can't see it, Craig.
I would not do that.
Should we take a break, Casey, end the stream, and come back in 20 minutes or something?
I mean, I'm here. Do you need a break, Mike?
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind a regroup real quick, and then we can get into Stuttering John and Steel Toe.
Okay, let's do it, Craig. Because then we could use the outro too right now, because I don't have the outro. So,
okay, perfect.
It.
We're gonna end the stream, and David, you're welcome to join us if you're not doing anything. Up to you. I know we've taken a lot of your time already.
Well, we'll have to see. I'm not too sure I know anything about those two subjects.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe David Collins will be back with us. Maybe not. But make sure you go to David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show,
right?
Wherever you get podcasts.
And the last week, the reality show episode 4 came out, and a lot of people seem to enjoy that. Less views than, of course, the other show. But, I understand that. You have interviewed guests that kind of gets more views. The people in the comments and the like ratio, people love that reality show. So if you happen to catch up, you most likely will enjoy it. And then, of course, we had a new episode yesterday with Joe Fernandez, who's a great Chicago comedian. He has a special out called Demented, but he was a fine enough guest.
Okay. Fine enough. That sounds like you didn't really like him that much.
No, he's a very nice guy.
Okay, all right.
Craig wouldn't like him.
Got loud and clear.
Fuck does that mean?
I get it. Joe Fernandez, you said?
No, he's very funny, too.
Yeah.
Great special.
No, I get it. But yeah, go check out David Collins 30 Minutes and support David Collins' Patreon. He scolded me for trying to find the link, so I guess I can't promote that. But if you just search David Collins 30-minute half-hour show Patreon, you should be able to find it.
Or if you're on the YouTube channel, there's a link right there.
Perfect. Yeah, go to David's YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and then if you want bonus content, subscribe to David's Patreon. You can also find Hackride the Demon, hackridethedemon.com. He's got a YouTube channel as well. They accept members. So our boy Casey Day, you should go support him. He'll be back with us in a few minutes on the next episode. And go support Very Good Show, because Craig, as much as we tease him, and this was clearly an abysmal performance, but the idea that he shit 3 times during the show, that is impressive. I got to give him that. Hats off to the great Craig Ironheaded Coney.
Not enjoyable.
And now you know what? Now we have a floor on this thing. Like, people thought Craig was checked out on a usual week. There's now a bottom. You guys know how bad it could be. So maybe you'll stop giving Craig so much guff on the weeks that he's at 100%.
I like to look at this as dedication to the program.
That's in a way, that's what I'm saying. No, you don't take it that way?
Just without saying it.
In a way, that's what I'm saying. As I'm applauding you for all your other performances.
I don't want this nickname to stick. Craig Ironhole.
I think that's endearing. Craig
That sounds like a transformer.
Well, yeah, in many ways, David.
Oh, and not the ones that Craig dislikes.
All right. So let's regroup. We'll come back in a little bit. It'll be me, Casey Day. David Collins is welcome to join if you want, David. Maybe DJ Electra, who knows? And we'll talk about Stuttering John and Aaron from Steel Toe. We'll try and hit the goal. But I wanted to relieve Craig. All right. Seems like
I see.
Back there.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
But yeah, I wanted to relieve Craig of his duties, as it were, here. So, Craig, thank you very much. We appreciate your efforts.
I tried.
Really dedicated today. That was phenomenal. You're like Kirk Gibson.
That's right. I'm limping to the toilet right now.
Yeah. Godspeed. Go, flush everything you got to do. And if you would be so kind as to just post the audio and everything, could you do that still?
I was going to say, do you want the audio for this one or the next one? Which one are you thinking?
I say could we do both? One day after the other. The audio people get it late, but could we do this comes out tomorrow, the next show comes out Tuesday?
Sure.
All right, beautiful. Let's do that. And let's again, guys, pay attention to the YouTube channel, subscribe, blindmike.net. We'll be back in a few minutes, but until then, let's get out of here, boys.
And we have a mean transition.
Hey, it's Boogie. Sappers clear the way. Airborne all the way.
Now this